Hello, fans, and welcome to this week's edition of the Tiger Women's Basketball Report. I'm your host, Ben Rosenbaum. As always, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Laura Harper. Coach, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, an interesting week. You have 1.5 games that you play. Quickly about UMES, you come out on top 60-55. I mean, weird game, distractions galore with that. You're adding players and all this sort of thing, and you're only playing 2 quarters. So just talk about how the team was able to handle that and fight through those 2 quarters and come out with a win.
Of course. I don't think they'll be in a situation quite like that ever again, probably in their career. So for them to just have the resilience to focus through those 2 quarters, for India Johnson to do what she did offensively, to really give her that confidence to continue going into Delaware, I think it was effective. And I'm just proud of our team for fighting through.
All right, so going into Delaware, a tough one over in Newark, a loss 73-59. Early foul trouble kind of gets, causes a disruption. Kylie doesn't shoot well. Just your overall thoughts on the game against the Blue Hens.
Of course, I feel like our post defense was exploited in a way that it hasn't, I guess with the exception of the Campbell game. So it's going to be a point of emphasis. Defending and rebounding at this point of the year, we continue to have these talks, and hopefully our team will at some point buy into that being core, because there's one point where they only scored free throws. They didn't even have a field goal at that point. And then we know how hard it is to play on the road, and just credit them for rallying. They needed that win. And it's just a little bit disappointing that we weren't able to fight through things that were in our control.
Kylie Cornegay-Lucas, 0 for 9 in that game. And if you look back, she's kind of in a slump right now. Just 5 points against William & Mary, 6 against UMES. When you look at a player like Kylie, who is usually it comes so easy to her, and now it seems like she's forcing her, the shots aren't falling. How do you help a player like that reset themselves and try to get them going again?
I just think continually spewing confidence in her, knowing what she is for this team, knowing what we need from her, even when she's not scoring, she's still rebounding at, an exceptional high level. I think she goes as hard as she possibly can. It's natural for a player of her talent to not be disappointed and down on themselves for letting the team down, but you can't, there's no let-ups. Her role is still the same. She's still a scorer for this team, and she'll continue to be.
On the flip side, India Johnston has kind of filled that gap in scoring, 19 against Delaware, 19 against William & Mary, and 16 against UMES. And this is something I think all of us around Towson basketball kind of knew maybe would come from India one day with her shooting ability. So your thoughts on India's stretch and what the ceiling is for her and how much more she can develop?
I don't think there is a ceiling for India. I think, we said it since last year, her having that kind of success in high school, 3-time Gatorade Player of the Year, offense comes naturally. She can shoot the ball with her eyes closed. We have challenged her defending and rebounding, and it's something where she's put the work in. She's listened to my mouth long enough where she's tired of it, and it's just really cool to see that she's now scoring more than she's giving up. And that's always the rule. You score more than you give up, and you really put that kind of effort in, it's going to happen. We're putting in a lot more shots. So just proud of her for getting to this point where she's playing as confidently as she is.
Are you surprised at times? Certainly there's some scheming involved with it, how often she's left open in the corner, and it's as if teams forget she exists sometimes?
I think it's interesting from 2 parts. One, a lot of teams are zoning us right now, so as we're running her around on the baseline and overloading things, I think it's hard to really prepare. I also think everyone knows who India Johnson is, but her coming off the bench, I think, is a superpower for us. Because think about when you go through scouts and scheming, you scheme for the starting 5. So it's hard to say, well, where would India be on this play when you're preparing? So, she'll stay on the bench coming off. I think she's bought into that. There's not a better 6th man in the conference, and I'm just proud of her maturity moving on.
All right, now looking ahead to this week, February 2nd, you have a title game rematch with Monmouth. The Hawks on a little bit of a roll right now, 12-6. They've won their last 3 on the road, 5-2. Casey Donovan and Ariana Vanderhoop still there, still doing really well for Monmouth. Your thoughts on Monmouth and what they're going to have in store for you in Jersey?
Of course. Well, first of all, I have the utmost respect for Jenny Boggess, and I know what caliber of coach she is, the discipline that she exudes, and just her staff. So we know that they're going to play very poised and just disciplined basketball. So we have to be ready. We have to figure out how to play on the road, and we have to be able to guard Bell Cramble. She's tough inside, she rim runs at a high level. That's something that we're struggling with, but I think it'll be fun. I think our kids are hungry and they know what they have to do.
Monmouth averaging a +9 rebound margin. I know obviously rebounding is a very big emphasis for you. What's the message going into Monmouth about attacking the glass?
I'm like, maybe I should start saying it in a different language, and that might be received a little better, or maybe someone else can tell them that you either decide you want to defend and rebound and you want to win. But again, everything that we do in practice will be defending and rebounding. Today's plan is all defending and rebounding, and hopefully we find something deeper inside of us that we're sick of getting out rebounded and playing in the post.
And then on February 4th, you return back to the friendly confines of TU Arena to take on a tough Charleston team. It'll also be Alumni and Women in Sport Day. Thoughts on the Cougars and also the day that we're going to have, I know, quite a few alumni already saying that they're going to be coming in.
Of course. So this Charleston team is playing extremely motivated. I think this team is playing at a high level. I think this team is capable of competing for a championship, and we have respect. We know what they're doing. They have a freshman, Taryn. They're twins. Actually, we recruited them at one point, and we just know how prolific they are. So again, having them at home is exciting. I think this National Girls and Women in Sport Day, I know the efforts that our administration, specifically Katie Hine, has done, that every single women's team will be in attendance to some degree, returning our alumni. I know 2 of our alum from last year's regular season championship will be there. So hopefully we can just enjoy that moment and rely on our fans and our student athletes to bring us some help there.
All right. Tigers hit the road to take on Monmouth on February 2nd and then return home on the 4th at 1 o'clock against Charleston. We'll have that game for you on Flow Sports. For the head coach of the Tigers, Laura Harper, I'm Ben Rosenbaum. Thanks for joining us, and as always, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.